morning, ladies and gentlemen. Calling to order the Committee on Finance for November 12, 2019 at 10 a.m., actually 10:02 a.m. First item of business today is the approval of the Rule 45 report of the previous meeting of the Committee on Finance. Are there any changes or questions on this from members? None. No questions. I'd ask for a motion for approval of the Rule 45 report. So moved by Alderman Harris. All those in favor of the approval of the Rule 45 report, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Approval of the Rule 45 report is passed. Ladies and gentlemen, one note before we move on to the next item of business, which will be the audit. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, November 19th at 10 a.m. So you might want to just mark your calendars. I know we're going to have some changes on the City Council meeting coming up, and I believe that's the 16th of December, but just check your calendars again and watch for the emails on that. 10 a.m. on November 19th. That will be finance. Yeah, and the notice is there, but just please make sure you check your calendars. Our second item is a communication recommending the approval of the independent firm of Deloitte & Touche LLP and a consortium of minority and women-owned accounting firms that will perform the audit for the City of Chicago fiscal year ending December 31st, 2019. I'd like to have Comptroller Reshma Soni please step up, and she will discuss the accounting firm and the performance of the audit for the city funds.
Good morning, Reshma Soni, City Comptroller. Good morning, members of the Finance Committee, Chairman Wagsback. Today we're bringing forth a recommendation to have Deloitte & Touche be our auditors for the upcoming 2019 financial statement audit. The Deloitte & Touche audit is comprised of a joint audit team of various members that are minority and women-owned certified within the City of Chicago. The audit comprises of various audits that we do for the city. There is a city CAFR, which is the main financial statement audit for the entire city. There are also audits that are being done for the 4 enterprise funds, Water, Sewer, O'Hare, and Midway, and that is due to bond indentures that require those audits to be done. In addition, there are some other requirements for audits for the library for compliance for state requirements. There are settlement audits or final accounting audits that are required for O'Hare and Midway as a part of the use and lease agreement. And then there are 2 audits for the passenger facility charges for the airports as well. So the recommendation here is that we're requesting Committee on Finance to approve Deloitte & Touche and the consortium of minority and women-owned accounting firms to perform the City of Chicago financial audits as of and for the year ended December 31st, 2019.
Thank you, Comptroller. Question from Alderman Hairston.
Who are the minority and women-owned firms?
So the minority and women-owned firms are comprised of the Bronner Group, Odell Hicks and Company, Ragland, Arnold, Buchanan, Morris and Associates, Velma Butler and Company, Washington, Pittman and McKeever, William Morales and Associates, Prado and Renteria, Howard Kenner, Government Consultants, and Johnny Wilson. Okay,
can you provide a copy of that
Yes.
to the chair so
Actually,
that we can...
ladies and gentlemen, there's a copy of it, the breakdown
Sorry.
on the back page of the notice or the letter from the Comptroller.
All right,
My
I just thought it
apologies.
was
I
the
should have
notice. I'm
made
sorry.
notice of that. It is in very small font, but
Yes, sorry about that. We'll do a better job.
Alderman Hairston, if you want to take a second to review that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that? Or do you want me to come back to you in a minute?
Yeah, they have John E. Wilson's name there, but there's no dollar amount.
So since this is the last 5 years, Johnny Wilson was there until 2014. 2015 onwards, he hadn't, that company, I should say, didn't renew their certification.
That's because he's deceased.
That's correct, and their company then didn't take on the certification afterwards, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Alderman Hopkins?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Soni, any substantive changes to the scope of work this year versus last year?
So with the audit, we look at new governmental accounting standards board accounting provisions. We have a GASB 84 that's coming up. What that is for any funds that we have currently that are agency funds or funds that are constituted as fiduciary, they are being reviewed to see if they need to be reclassified under the general fund scope. So that is a large GASB that we're looking at right now. The future GASB that will be coming up in the 2020 audit is a GASB 87 audit, which it has to do with leases, which will significantly affect the city since we have many leases and many contracts that act like a lease, whether it be services that we're getting for maintenance for systems or whether it be actual leases of property that we're doing. So we are working with Deloitte currently to start looking at that and making sure that we can implement that properly.
Do we have representation on the GASB task force or committee that's studying the issue of leases? Because that would have a major impact on us.
Yes, so we've been actively involved in 2 different task forces, one through GASB or GFOA itself, and one is through ACI, which is the Airport Council International, because the airport has many leases, and working with them to ensure that we have enough time and the rules and regulations that are in place are something that we can implement. In addition, we have a task force that we've done internally with our team and have been working with our department as well as various other departments from 2FM, CDOT, DPS, because contracts can now also act as leases, and working with those departments and of course the other departments at large to ensure that they understand the provisions and they can start providing us information as well, including aviation.
Okay. Would this, if it were to pass for 2020, would it then be implemented in the 2021 audit so we'd have time to prepare?
So we're starting now because it needs to be implemented by the 2020 audit for GASB 87. We started a few months ago internally to start working with the departments to ensure that they have the systems in place and information they can provide to us so we can start analyzing.
Okay. All right. Another subject. I know we recently did a special audit of the workers' compensation function, which hasn't been audited in the past as a part of the regular annual in the CAFR. Has that changed in this current audit? Will we be looking at workers' comp?
So we look at workers' comp as a whole, but to your point, Alderman, that we didn't look at it in detail as much as we did now. We do have an actuary that looks at workers' comp claims overall to see if those claims are valid and what amount we need to be recording as a liability to the city. That process will continue to go on. That is some specialized areas that we've asked or will be asking Deloitte, if appointed, to be looking, especially since we have a new firm coming in place and we have a new system coming in place. So normally what Deloitte does is with their IT audit area, they will be looking at new systems to ensure the accuracy and completeness that we're capturing everything and things are being done on an accounting side properly.
Okay, just for the benefit of those who don't quite understand how that works, can you explain the distinction between what the actuaries do with the annual actuarial report and what the auditors would do?
Yes. So the actuaries are evaluating the calculation of our liability based upon trends of loss. They do loss run trend analysis. They look at future claims estimation. They look at past historical 5-year and 10-year, and then they look at what is currently in the mix to see what is our potential liability that we need to record. Whereas the auditors, what they're looking to do is taking those numbers and ensuring that those numbers are accurate and complete, that we have a complete population that we're looking at, especially since it's a liability. We don't want to be understating the liability that we have to the city.
Okay. Any additional cost represented in this contract renewal for the additional work that will be done on workers' comp?
There's no additional cost.
No additional cost?
No additional cost for that.
Okay, so we're
It's a
not
part of the overall.
anticipating any additional hours of field work, any further examinations, looking deeper at the management, the staffing, all those other things that would add to the cost if we were doing that?
So at this point, we haven't gone into that much detail. We want to make sure that they get appointed first before we start going into that. If we do need to do a deeper dive analysis, that at that point in time, we'd be looking at maybe doing a separate audit to ensure that we are capturing the more in-depth review that we need to do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Hopkins. Alderman Smith?
Are we actually taking a vote on this today, even though it says it doesn't require a vote? So will there be a vote taken today?
It'll be placed on file.
Excuse me?
Placed on file.
Placed on file. Okay, that's all I needed to know. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Alderman Smith. Alderman Burnett?
Namaste.
Namaste.
So, I missed you. I was at the Indo-American Museum thing Saturday. But anyway, so this consortium, can you give us some names of the folks that's in it? The name of the companies?
On the back.
Oh, it's on here? You asked that question? I apologize. Okay. All right, that's my question. All right. Dhanyavad.
Yeah. Alderman Hairston?
Okay, now that I've had a chance, I just have to say for the record, Deloitte is getting 70% of the allocation, and then the other MBE, WBE have to divide up 30%. That is not acceptable. That is not acceptable. You know, surely there is an MBE or WBE that could take the lead on this, and I hope that under your leadership that we will not continue to go down this path of 70% and 30% or 80% and 20%, and that it would be divided up. Deloitte is making a whole lot of money and everybody else is making 50, 60.
Yes.
That should not be in a city of this size with the diversity that we have. So I know that wasn't your doing, but I hope that you will pay more attention to it and encourage these groups or the leads, and look at some MBE, WBE for lead sponsorship as well.
That's a
Thank
good
you.
point. Good point. Yes.
Alderman Burnett?
Thank you.
Yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, also, you know, what we've been requiring with the financial service folks, the lawyers, and also with the investment bankers, we want to see what's the makeup of their company, how much diversity that they have, how much diversity do the primes have in their company, just to know, you know, like I always say, you know, Walmart won't do business with people if they don't have diversity. They insist on anyone that do business with Walmart have to have some diversity, or they can't do business with them.
And you mean in the executive end of the
I mean,
business, not,
I mean, if folks do business with us,
right?
I understand that they have to do subcontracting, but they should have a conscience. They should have a corporate consciousness of trying to have some diversity within their company, right? And you know, because this is a city of diversity, right? And so we should try to hold them to a good standard. If they can do it in corporate America, we should be able to do it in government also. Okay, so just try to encourage that with the companies.
Absolutely. I mean,
Right,
they
and-
need to be
and
promoting
sometimes-
diversity.
And sometimes just by inquiring about it, it compels folks to try to do what's right. Because unfortunately, people just do what they feel comfortable doing, right? And they do it unconsciously. So they unconsciously don't hire diversity because they never had to do it. But when they consciously think about it, then they try to more so
To
mix it
promote.
up a little bit, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Would you
thank
like to address that, or?
No, I think it's a very good point, Alderman. I know this has come up before, and especially in the financial sector, we need to do more to ensure that we're not only having the company promote, but we show awareness that we need them to promote and help them in different ways. I know the treasurer has been trying to work on that recently as well, and we can do that in many different realms with the contracts that we have. So I will definitely push for that, Alderman.
Done divide.
Anyhow.
All set, Alderman. Okay. Before we move to pass on this, Alderman, it is being placed on file, Alderman Smith, but we still have to take a vote on it. Go ahead.
In that case, my husband works at Deloitte, completely not in connection with anything that we do here, or doesn't do any work in Chicago, so I would recuse myself under Rule 14.
Okay.
That's why.
Alderman Smith will recuse herself on the vote when we take it. Before we take the vote, we have one person for public testimony, Mr. George Blakemore. He demands it. Better than Alderman.
To get up. I was listening. Lord induced, they do the audit for the county too.
Mr. Blakemore, could you speak into the mic, please?
How many items will I be able to speak on, sir? Because you're worse than Burke. You coming in want to silence the citizens. I should be able to speak on each item. Anyway, what Walter Burnett said, and Leslie, they've been saying that for years. But they just talk, leave it to the chair. They don't go out to the community and let them know, the people, the black people, that we're getting nothing. That we're getting nothing but peanuts. The Lord induced, what he was asking you for these professional services, the Lord induced, she was saying they're getting the millions, the 70%, and then that's the white company. And then go divide the peanuts between white women, Hispanic, Asian, and then blacks. This is unacceptable. This is bad public policy, and it's institutional racism. So the white woman will get her bit from minority. The white man already got his 70%, and then the Hispanic gets theirs. And then what is the figure that the black people are getting? I want to know the dollars and cents that we are getting. And she keep on, we leave it to the chair. You do the same thing. You go out and tell our people what's going on down here. Or stop flow showing down here. We get nothing but peanuts down here. So you just as worse or worse than Bert. You coming in want to silence the people on the item. All of you. And who do you have to come to this mic? We have a Mr. Blakemore, a public citizen, Mr. Blakemore. Mr. Blakemore knows exactly who you are, and he knows exactly what you're doing. Again, Walter Burnett and the Leslie, they do that flow show all the time, but they don't back it up. Go to the hood. Go back to the hood, Leslie. Go back to the hood, Walter Burnett, and let them know what they're doing here. Don't talk to them, talk to our community, and tell them this is no longer accepted. I'm outraged. Go to the community and tell them what they're
All right,
doing.
seeing as there is no other public testimony, may I have a motion to approve item number 2 on the agenda? Alderman Hairston moves to pass. All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed? The motion passes. Thank you, Comptroller. Item number 3 is from the Department of Housing. This is a communication recommending a proposed ordinance concerning the authority to enter into and execute a redevelopment agreement and a loan agreement, and to approve qualified donative tax housing credit program assistance with Roosevelt Road Veterans Housing, LP, Ash 5 LLC, and a Safe Haven Foundation for the acquisition of city-owned property in the 28th Ward. Could we have Barbara Taylor, the project manager from Department of Housing, please step forward? She'll discuss the project, and then Alderman Irvin will close on this item.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning, members of the Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Barbara J. Taylor, and I'm a project manager with the Housing Bureau for the city's Department of Housing. I respectfully request your support for an ordinance today to assist with the affordable rental housing development for homeless and disabled veterans located at 2920 West Roosevelt Road in the Lawndale community. The project is called Roosevelt Road Veterans Housing. We are seeking authorization to enter into a loan agreement for $430,203 to execute a TIF redevelopment agreement with Roosevelt Road Veterans Housing Limited Partnership, and the authorization for the city to transfer Illinois Affordable Housing Tax Credits to the project, again known as Roosevelt Road Veterans Housing. The remainder of the project is going to be financed with a multi-layer capital stack. The total project is $21.1 million, and there will be a first private mortgage of $1.2 million, a federal home loan grant of $750,000, a grant from the Home Depot Foundation of $500,000, state donation tax credits of $403,750, an energy grant from ComEd for $133,600, and a loan from the Developer Foundation, a Safe Haven Foundation of $150,000, general partner equity of $100, and tax credit equity from the award of IDA tax credits, which will bring into the project $11,066,431. Pardon me. There'll be a land capital contribution of $1.6 million and a deferred developer fee of $333,333. So there are 11 sources of financing in this deal. If you want me to go over any of them again, I would be glad to. The affordability period will run for 30 years. The property will consist of one newly constructed 5-story building. There will be 88 studios and 2 one-bedroom units, and all of the units will house households at 60% of area median income and below. 75 of the units will receive VASH vouchers from CHA, which is a rental subsidy voucher, so that the vets will not have to pay more than 30% of their income for rent, and the remaining 15 units will receive subsidy from our Chicago Low Income Housing Trust Fund, and again, the veterans will not have to pay more than 30% of their income for rent. The developer who is here with us today is A Safe Haven Foundation. The project is in the 28th Ward, and the alderman does support the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. It sounds like an excellent project. We do have a handout for everybody with the details on it, so it should be in your packet there. And Alderman Villegas, question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to congratulate my colleague from the 28th Ward for this project. It sounds like a great project for veterans, and I'm very familiar with the Safe Haven, who does, besides dealing with veterans, deals with other populations and getting them up and on their feet. So just wanted to congratulate Safe Haven, the 28th Ward, my colleague Jason Irvin as well, for this great project, and trying to see if I can lobby a Safe Haven to see if I can get one of these projects in my ward, especially for these veterans. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Villegas. Alderman Sposato?
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning. I just also want to congratulate and thank Safe Haven. It's an awesome organization. I'm guessing many of my colleagues know who they are. I know Alderman Irvin knows them pretty well, and he works with them, and I appreciate you for that, Alderman. But they are really awesome people and an awesome organization, so I fully 100% support this. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Moore?
Thank you. Absolutely, Safe Haven does good work. But I'm just trying to see are these part of some old tax credits, or are these part of the new ones that just went out for RFP?
The development came to the Department of Housing in our 2017 round.
Okay.
And so they will be funded with current tax credits for 2019. And we expect a closing by the end of this year.
So the briefings that we had, which a while ago, in terms of the dollars that was coming down, and they went out for RFP for those dollars. So does those dollars get smaller then?
No, we just had a new round in 2019, just in June, if that's what you're referring to. So those will fund deals going forward. This one was already in the pipeline and from our 2017 round.
Right, from money from 20.
From that round, yes, sir.
Right, thank you. All right, just
You're
wanted to be
welcome.
clear, that's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Alderman Moore. Alderman Hairston.
Thank you. Yeah, congratulations on the project. What is the square footage of the studio apartments?
I have that here.
Okay.
And, all right, the square footage will range, let's see here, from about 285 square feet to about 330 square feet. And that's for the studios. The one bedrooms will be a little bit larger.
But there are only two of those, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so I know there's a formula for that ratio. Can you just go over that for me?
Do we want to have the developer come forward?
Sure.
And discuss what, if you want to, Devin Rowland is here, and they can give you a breakdown on how they came up with that.
What is 285?
And this is Devin Rowland. He'll introduce himself from a
State your name. Sir, could you state your name for the record?
Hi,
And your
I'm
firm.
Devin Rowland, Devin, Rowland, Rowland. I'm the Vice President of Real Estate for KMA Property Management. We're the owner's rep for the project. So when we applied, we actually received money from IDA in the 2017 round. It wasn't actually from the city, just to clarify. But when we applied, there was a unit mix that they required us to do, a mix of studios and one beds. So there wasn't a specific ratio that we had to hit, but we wanted to do larger one beds. It became cost prohibitive to build larger units, and so we ended up having to build slightly smaller units.
Okay, so I just know that a lot of times for like my senior housing, they always do the push for the studios, and those are the ones that always remain vacant. So I'm wondering if there has been any thought given to having more than 2 one-bedrooms out of 90 units.
Right, that makes sense. So VASH vouchers are committed from CHA and Veterans Affairs. So they're providing housing subsidy and case management services to about 75 of the units. So those we anticipate will be full within 9 months.
I'm talking purely square footage.
So we would love to build larger units. It did become cost prohibitive, and that's why. So we actually applied in the 2016 round, and we were kicked back because our costs were high, and the request from the city and the state was too large. So we had to downsize the square footage of the overall size of the building.
Okay, and just because I don't know, would the ask be at the federal level or at the state level to increase the square footage so that the formula makes a little better sense, or so that it's manageable?
So as Barbara Taylor mentioned, we did have to go through 11 different sources. So at this point, we basically exhausted as many as we could. We were constantly trying to find more money, but unfortunately, the solution for us was to reduce cost.
No, I mean, I get it, but, you know, I think that we as government can do a better job for those that have served our country admirably, and to put them in a 285 square foot, you know, room, I don't think we are putting our best foot forward.
So we do have a building right now. It's at it's at Harrison and Wabash. It's 169 SRO units. And so those are 250 square foot units. And so they do have full kitchens, full baths, and those are always 95% plus occupied. So there is a demand for the smaller units. It's a really affordable solution for a lot of people.
Okay.
And so
And the units will come fully furnished, and as Devin said, full kitchens and full baths.
Okay, and are there any other amenities in the building? Is there a lounge area or?
yeah, so we do have a lounge area, so we anticipate having amenities in there. We're trying to figure out if it would, what it would include. But we would have TV, couches. There is a kitchen and a kitchenette as well, so we do anticipate indoor space. And then as well as outside, we have like things like a gazebo and an area where it's fenced off, so we can have people outside as well and our residents.
And there'll be social services on site, but A Safe Haven Foundation's corporate office is a block and a half east of this development, and they offer on-site social services for the vets. And a block and a half west of the development is a VA community service center where the VA provides case management service, so they can literally
They
walk.
can, within a
Yes.
neighborhood, a
Yeah.
campus,
Yes.
if you
We have
will.
a community, we have a computer room as well, so we do anticipate, we're trying to get the residents out of the room as well, to engage.
Right, I got it. I got it. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Harrison. Alderman Burnett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to also commend the aldermen and also commend this great organization. Knowing that we have unfortunately, we have a lot of homeless veterans here in the city of Chicago, and a lot of them just need some help to get started or get a leg up. I think this development will help them to get a leg up. I think in a lot of instances, this may not be permanent housing for them. It may be temporary housing for them to be able to move on to get bigger places. So I just commend this organization on hustling to get all this funding. I know it's very hard to get. I like to commend you all and the aldermen on being able to get CHA to invest some money in this, because it's always challenging with CHA because they always want to put money in what you call the opportunity areas, which is the more expensive communities, and ignore the fact that we need their money to subsidize developments like this in other communities. And actually, this development would be an enhancement to this community. Although it's an SRO, although it's for vets, right? This will enhance the community and also help to bring up property values in the neighborhood. So in our neighborhoods where we don't have a lot of development at, these developments help to prime the community for more developments to come. So I commend both you all and also the aldermen and CHA and everyone else who have invested in this development, the state and everyone else for helping out with this, because I think it's a great thing. Also, just wanted to ask, and I know I share several, I share a couple of TIF areas with the 28th Ward. Which TIF is this? Is this the Midwest TIF, or this is another TIF?
Yes, it's located in the Midwest TIF, in the North Lawndale community, yes.
Fantastic. So I share part of that TIF, so I'm happy to see the money going to good use to help this development. And can you tell me what percentage of the TIF went to this development? Is it 25% or is it less?
Less than that, and I can tell you that only, let's see, 21% of the development is funded by TIF funds in the amount of $4.5 million. And the
Fantastic.
total development cost is $21.2 million.
Yeah, because I always thought that you all's policy has always been that for 25%.
They were able to get enough financing where they didn't need that high of a level of TIF.
Okay. All right. So again, I commend you all. I'm very proud of you, young man. You make your parents very proud. I know your mom is sitting out there in the crowd. Not only do I appreciate everything that what you do for the homeless, for the veterans, but also what you do for the homeless in our society. So appreciate you and your family. Keep up the good work. God bless you. Dios de bendiga.
Thank you, Alderman Burnett. Alderman Dowell.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few questions. First, I want to congratulate my colleague for this project. I think adding the supportive services to the focus on housing, provision of housing is a very good thing. But I have a couple of questions regarding minus the furnishings, how much was the cost per unit?
So the total amount of furnishings was $150,000 over the 90 units, correct, Devin? And then the cost per unit, Alderman Dow, is 234,000 glasses, $916. And so you'd have to take, a 90th of that 150 and subtract that out. But right now, the costs are very, reasonable at 200, all in, $234,916.
I got that. That is reasonable. The CHA subsidized 75, if I heard you right, 75 of that. At
Yes,
what
ma'am.
percentage did they provide subsidy? I thought I heard VAS something.
So the CHA VASH vouchers are the rental subsidy supportive, Veterans Administration supportive housing vouchers, and they will subsidize the rent on 75 units of the 90, and then the vets will pay no more than 30% of their income, whatever it is, but the remaining 15 units will be subsidized
that.
by our, okay.
The low-income housing trust fund. I got
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
So the 75 units, do they have to be occupied by CHA residents that are on the?
You want to address the waiting list where you're getting those from, or?
That's what I want to know. Where are you getting this, and how many people are on that waiting list?
Sure. So the people that are going to be occupying this are going to be homeless vets. So if you're a homeless veteran, you would go to your VA, and if you're chronically homeless, which means you're constantly homeless over and over again, then you can apply to the VA to qualify for a VASH voucher. So it actually comes through the VA, but the CHA administers it. Okay. So it's federal funding from the VA that provides the money.
All right. And do you know how long that waiting list is? Just curious.
I do not know how long the waiting list is, but when I go to the VA and Jesse Brown to present, there's always 40-plus veterans there, and they do biweekly Friday meetings to
All right.
help.
And
find
finally, who was the architect on this?
Urban Works.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No further
Thank
questions.
you, Alderman Dow. Alderman Irvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I think this project will bring much-needed developments in an area of North Lawndale that hasn't seen much over the past few years. We're glad for the partnership with the VA, CHA, and the city on this. This project will be GC'd by a 100% MBE joint venture with an African-American partner in the lead, and will provide, like I said, much-needed development, housing for our veterans, as well as economic activity in the form of this construction and bringing some much-needed life on Roosevelt Road, like I said, in an area that has long been vacant for an extended period of time. So given the design and the architecture, we think that this will be an enhancement to the residents as this sits right in front of Douglas Park, will provide a great a source of vitality to the community, as well as with the supportive services that will be provided on site and as well between the VA and Safe Haven, which are just as was indicated earlier, a block and a half away from the site. So again, overall, I think this is an enhancement to the North Lawndale community on the west side of Chicago, and I would ask for your favorable consideration.
Thank you, Alderman Irvin. Before we move to pass this item, we have one person for public testimony, Mr. George Blakemore. Oh, Alderman Thompson. My apologies.
So I'm looking at this, I'm trying to understand, so the overall project's $21 million.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this handout that we received, so the loan amount and the amount of money we're getting from the TIF is $430,000?
The loan amount from the Department of Housing is the $430,203, and then the TIF award to the development is $4.5 million.
Okay, that wasn't on that's not on the sheet.
I apologize.
So that's what I was having trouble doing the math here to get to
Yes,
21 million, because I had a $4.8 million shortfall.
sorry about that.
And then I know, Chair, we got an email the other day with the agenda, but I didn't see the documents, the loan agreement and redevelopment agreement. So I don't know if we're not getting those now. I didn't see it. My staff went back and looked. There was a link, but
No, no, you're correct, Alderman Thompson. The document that has the title Roosevelt Road Veterans Housing at the top came after the agenda went out. So this document came later. The one that's missing the.
Historically, we would get the loan agreement and the redevelopment agreement.
I can forward you the. I'll make sure that we forward the link.
We
to
can
that.
talk offline, but that's
All right. It's online. It's just if we can get you the link so you can. The document itself is probably a couple hundred pages of a PDF, so we wouldn't be able to put it in an email, but I'll forward the links to you from now on.
And so that just answered it. Was just that the
4.5 million
From
in
TIF.
TIF. Yes, sir.
Got it. Okay, well, it sounds like a great project, and I congratulate the alderman, and I know we just had Veterans Day yesterday, and this is something like my colleague to my right here, we may be reaching out to you for some opportunities down in our ward as well. Thank you.
Alderman Moore?
Thank you. Just for my knowledge, can you explain the land capital contribution?
So there's a few things happening on the land there. So 3 of the parcels are owned by the city of Chicago, and they were previously donated to the project, which triggered donation tax credits, which is another source that we use. And then our organization owns a building on the lot. It's at the 2920 West Roosevelt. There's currently a building there that would be demolished and donated to this project.
What was the value of the city's land that
I
we're
do
donating?
have that for you, Alderman. The city's land is valued at $875,000.
And that's a donation.
Yes, it is, and that's what will generate the donation tax credit equity.
Okay.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions, Alderman Moore?
Thank you.
All right, before we move on, we have Mr. George Blakemore for public testimony.
Thank you, Chairman.
You're welcome.
My question to the developer, who is your attorney? Those attorneys go planning and develop.
Mr. Blakemore, could you speak into the mic
Yes,
so the
yes, these attorneys, I want to know who's going to usher you through these various agents, the race of the attorney, and how much money are you spending for these professional service? Now, how many jobs will be created here in management? How many jobs in management, managing those facilities? And how many construction jobs will be there? And with that joint venture, how much money is that black person investing his money, and how much money is that white person investing? You know, I always play the race card because it should be played here. So again, these so-called nonprofit organization, white organization, go in, we're going to help the poor black veteran. You know who you helping? You helping yourself. Because after 30 years, this going to go back at a market rate. after 30 years, and one of you brought up the furnishing and all of this. What is the race of this person that's going do all this, bringing these tables or beds or whatever is needed, and on these construction jobs? What percent of those workers going to be black workers? You all here, I'm calling you my black brothers and sisters, that's misled or uninformed. I think you're smarter than me. I think you know the same thing Mr. Blakemore knows, but you go along to get along for your own political interests. You getting your 40 acres and a mule and your reparation, and our people are suffering for good jobs, contracts, and service. I'm not excited about this. I'm appalled to this. I think that lawyer's right here. He's going to usher them all the way through these other Asian zoning and everything. That lawyer making money. So again, you making money, and some of you all I'm accusing of pay to play. I'm saying that. Maybe it's not true, but maybe it is true. Why would you let this? And this is city-owned land. And after he developed this land, I saw it will go back to market value after 30 years. These so-called nonprofits coming in to help us. They're helping themselves. And thank you, Chairman, for allowing me to speak on this item. I think I should. I'm a citizen, and I'm looking forward to speaking on other items.
Thank you, Mr. Blakemore. May I have a motion to approve item number 3 on the agenda? Alderman Hopkins. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The motion passes. Congratulations, Alderman Irvin. It's a great project. Oh. Alderman Austin, you have the floor.
I wanted to congratulate Alderman Irvin in regards to his housing project. I would like to follow behind him because I'm trying to do the same thing in the far south side for veterans, the homeless and disabled veterans. I forgot all, I'm sorry. Homeless and disabled veterans. Prayerfully, we will be able to do Veterans Village. And I hope that I'll have that same support from Alderman Irving when we start our project. But congratulations, sir.
Thank you, Alderman Austin. On that note, we have a motion to approve, and the item passes. Yeah. Item number 4 is from the Department of Law. This is a communication transmitting a list of cases for judgments and settlements that were entered into for the month of October 2019. We have one speaker, Mr. George Blakemore. This motion will be placed on file with the city clerk. Mr. Blakemore. Alderman Irvin.
Chairman, I would like to move that we consolidate items 4, 5, and 6, 4, 5, 6, and 7 under one vote.
We can move Alderman Irvin. We will move all those together. Items 4, 5, 6, and 7. I do have one public testimony, Mr. George Blakemore. So first, we'll go with Mr. Blakemore. Speak into the mic so the court reporter can hear you. There you go.
Thank you very much. Communications, list of cases and judgment were settled that entered into in the month of October. Where I don't have the list of these cases. I don't have how much money was spent on these settlements. And I also want to know what was the weakness in those cases that the city decided to settle these cases and not to actually go to court. I hope you understand what I would like to have. And if you have these materials up here, you must always share them with the citizens. They should be back here. Now, I was very critical of Alderman Burt over finance, but he had a different structure and organization that you would see this. I don't, and I think I shouldn't have to ask the sergeant of arms to go and get that material and then you give it to me. It's not about me. It should be over on that table that anybody who come in here will be able to see that. Transparency is very important. And you know a lot. Why Mr. Blakemore, he's not that smart, but he listens and he learns. He gets a PhD in these walls of public government. How many settlements? Who was a party? And I need to see this. Not the people need to see this. And if this is being televised, people out here, you see these cameras? Make that website available that the people at home can actually watch these committee procedures. If the people could see, inform, engage, and enlighten, they would like what was going on here. Not at all. But you keep them dumb and deaf, uninformed, and you can keep doing what you do. Again, I'm asking God to bless. I don't want him to bless some of you now. No. A little choir. Y'all all rubber stamp and one praises the other one. One scratches the other. Oh, you're doing a good project over here. And then the other say, you're doing a good project. And everything is rubber stamped and passed. It's suspect that this is not good public policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blakemore. For items 4, 5, 6, and 7, we have the authorization of payment of senior citizen rebate sewer claims on 7, a proposed order denying the payment of various small claims, a proposed order authorizing the payment of various small claims, and the judgments and settlements entered into for the month of October 2019. May I have a motion to pass on items 4 through 7? Alderman Urban moves to pass. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The motion passes. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the meeting of the Committee on Finance. Move to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Alderman Hairston. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The Committee on Finance is concluded.